So, here we are back at Zeiss, where we're going to go ahead and report our findings in at the guild. And it seems like Tita and her grandfather are finished. And the other two that I don't care about. I mean, I'm pretty sure she likes Chloe. Oh yeah, those. Yes, we did. We have some very important things to report. We discovered mostly the same things at both places, which is probably a good thing, because that means the two stories match up, and thus, the evidence is more solid of what's actually going on. The earthquakes get worse and worse, and they seem to be a man-made phenomenon. Yeah, there's likely an even stronger one incoming. Yeah, so the guy in the basement means that he's been seen at all three locations that had earthquakes. That was the witness we needed for the factory, and Zeiss itself. Well, let's hope this experiment doesn't black out the town. Septium veins. So yeah, this is another term that actually got changed in some patches, because I think it was called, like, the quartz was called Seepeth vein at one point, but they changed it to septium vein because that is the actual term that's the actual term in universe. Which we're about to learn about right now. These things, I believe, are based on the concept of ley lines, and I think the term that's used for, one of them does literally translate as ley lines in Japanese. There are, like, 3 different types of, like, vein-related terms in the whole terminology of the Kiseki series. Yeah, here, earth veins, spirit veins, and dragon veins. So I think in this part, the localizers went back and patched the script here just to make sure they're all consistently referred to as veins of some kind. And yeah, dragon veins are a real thing. So yeah, they're referenced in Fire Emblem Fates, but they actually are an actual Eastern cultural thing. But here they're an actually measurable phenomenon. So basically these are seismographs. These are fantasy seismographs. So this is going to be our next main story task for the chapter. Setting up these in 3 locations. And our locations are... drumroll please. Trap plains near the stone circle. Middle of Chaldea Tunnel, and in front of Lacen Fortress. That one's going to be a little tricky because a new monster quest has shown up that's right in the way of that. That one's usually the one people take care of last. The easiest is probably the one in Chaldea Tunnel. Okay, who knows the right angle, though? Okay, so yeah, wirelessly sending data. They already have that in this universe. I think we have a better idea. Yes, Tita is going to be coming with us. Well, mostly. She's still as fragile as wet tissue paper. Well, again, I said last time that saying that was an insult to wet tissue paper. And Agate can't really refuse her at this point. Just make sure you don't slap her again if she does something stupid. Well, he kinda did last time. And here's another great conversation you miss if you're on the Shara route. I believe the Shara route, like, you don't get anything like that at all. This conversation's pretty generic there, so another reason why I picked this route is because Tita has much more of a personal connection to Agate than she does to Shara, so you get a lot better dialogue out of Tita for this part. And since she's going to be the main party member from now on in this area, getting better dialogue out of her is always a good thing. But now that we actually have Tita, we have a lot of party members now. We have more than can fit in one battle, for the first time since the final dungeon of FC. So, we have to designate somebody to leave behind. So, at this point in the game, we finally have access to party management. However, Agate is forced into the party until Chapter 4, and Tita is now forced, so we only have two options, Chloe or Olivier. And we do get a brief summary of each party member here.
Great.
Don't think we can see Tita's summary right now, unfortunately. So basically, either one we pick, we have a caster. You can change this at any time, so it doesn't really matter all that much. You just get a little different dialogue depending on who you choose to leave behind. So the way that party management works in this game is a bit clunky. They definitely improved this a lot in later games where they just did it more like a traditional RPG where you, well, not traditional, I mean, honestly, this is probably a little bit more like an actual traditional RPG. In more modern RPGs, they give you access to the whole party in your menu and you can just swap everyone's positions. You can't do that in this one. If you want to change out your party members, you actually have to manually go up to the second floor of a guild house, talk to them, and then swap them in. The problem with that is it means that you cannot access the equipment of anyone in your reserve while you're out in the field, which can be a problem if you leave good quartz or other things on them. I'm sure Tita's happy about getting to work with us again. So, yeah, Tita Russell is back in the party, and yeah, her portraits just keep getting more and more adorable in every game, get used to that. Tita is pretty similar to how she was in the last game. She has a ranged AoE attack with her cannon. She is stupidly fragile, like even Chloe beats her in terms of HP. She also starts at only level 40, and that's why I want to go to Carnelia Tower and level her up a bit, because, yeah, she's very far behind the rest of us. She has Smoke Cannon, which is still excellent for blinding enemies, Vital Cannon for some nice healing, and she's also very good in chain crafts, I find, as well, so that gives her a bit of a niche. In terms of her Orbmet, it's basically the same as it was. It has a few more lines than most physically focused people. Eagle Eye's a little redundant with her stealth. I can get a pretty decent assortment of arts on her, though. Yeah, there's Chaos Brand. It actually got nerfed, I believe, quite a bit since FC. It's nowhere near as useful. Most major bosses are now immune to it. And while we're here, we can check out the board. We have quite a few new quests to do. Part Search, Eliminate the Peeping Tom, which you do need to do pretty soon. Trap Plains Monster 2, which you can put off for as long as you want. This one is incredibly annoying. Solid Army Road Monster, which I believe you're actually forced to do because you can't set up one of your devices without doing it. And we haven't reported the Trap Plains Road Monster number 1, so let's go ahead and do that. So as I was saying, if you want to swap out your party members, you actually have to go upstairs, talk to them, and do change party. And from here...
Your aid, please.
Together now.
You can actually hear some new voice clips from these characters.
Your aid, please.
Which is pretty cool.
Together now.
And they're actually just reused from their Chaincraft voice clips, which were newly recorded for this game anyway. But yeah, we've got a few things that we can do right now. I checked the weapon shop, there's nothing new for Tita there that she doesn't already have, but I can give her the Gemini boots. In terms of these though, let's go for glove gear and... Preventing seal is nice, I guess. Yeah, talking to this guy gives you a little bit more information on how septium veins work. Yeah, so it's almost like the entire continent is one big orbment. Interesting. So what we'll be taken care of now is we'll need to go to the factory for setting up the device in the Caldia tunnel anyway. So while we're here, we need to talk to someone down here for that part search quest. And I believe, yes, it is you. Eric from the maintenance desk. This quest is just going to be entirely contained within the factory itself. So while we're just going through the preamble for this quest, I guess I can talk about this as well. Now that we have the option to switch out our party members, we will be getting different dialogue at various points in the game during both the main story and quests based on who we choose to bring to them. So at this point, there is actually a bit of replay value in the game in choosing different combinations of party members and just seeing how that changes the dialogue. There's no major changes usually, but it's like some games like the first thing that came to mind was Chrono Trigger, where you might discover some surprising dialogue if you choose to bring certain people to certain events. Ah, yes. Holes in your pockets, the bane of pretty much everyone. You still put valuable parts in there. I suppose anyone would panic when the earthquake was going on. So, this is kind of tricky. We're basically reduced to scrounging around the floor, finding some tiny parts that someone dropped. Fun! Such is the work of a professional side quester. But we have a bit of help! It's kind of funny that he calls this a secret weapon, because it's a lot like, reminds me a lot of Gumshoe in Ace Attorney, who also refers to something like this as a secret weapon. We get a metal detector. So, our goal for this quest is to run around the factory using the metal detector in various places, trying to find these parts. Unfortunately, a lot of these have very small, quote-unquote, hitboxes. You sort of need to be standing right on top of them to actually find them. So this quest is a bit of a pain without a guide, so hopefully this video will serve as a bit of a guide. Also, Estelle is a bit of a derp and is not realizing how helpful a metal detector would be in this kind of thing. Yeah, I guess since there's metal everywhere, you would need to fine-tune it a bit. You know, I wonder how metal detectors actually work. I'll need to look that up because I actually don't know how they work exactly. Like, how you go about creating something that detects metal. This is good too, because if you were combing every single inch of this factory using that item every time you walked a step forward, you would go insane very quickly. Thankfully, you only need to search in the workshop on the 3rd floor and the lab on the 4th floor. Yep, no need to worry about the elevator in the hallways. This, I believe, is another quest that has bonus BP. So there's around 8 parts. You only need to find at least half of them to complete the quest. But if you find them all, you get extra BP. Unfortunately, we don't get to keep the metal detector. One more thing. Okay. So, obviously there would be quite a few parts there. And hey, it's the cat again. Hopefully he didn't decide to grab any of those parts and run away with them. And so the search for some tiny bits of metal begins. Yeah, not exactly the most interesting of jobs, but it pays, so we gotta do it. That's the design room. Third floor, workshop. Yeah, third floor workshop. One of the places that we need to find parts at. So, I have a list of where they all are. Okay, near shelves with ladder, in the upper right corner, and near the blueprints on the desk. So let's go ahead and use the metal detector there. Yeah, it's a little bit of a trial and error thing. It's not exact, but there we go. We found one of them. This is basically how it works. You use it, and then you get a nice little radar effect, and no response. And there's one right here. And yeah, they said near blueprints. Very nearby, okay. This reminds me a lot of the item finder in Pokemon, which it took so long for them to actually make one of those that, you know, wasn't terrible. I'll just be blunt. A lot of the ways they made the item finder work was just, or dowsing machine, it was just, yeah. Just trying to think off the top of my head which one was my favorite. Like, I think the black and white one, I think I remember being not terrible. And I think the Diamond and Pearl one was a little obtuse, but it wasn't that bad. All of the others were just pretty awful. So there are 4 parts here. One of them is near the grey boxes. In the vicinity, okay, that's not very nearby. That's one step down from that. There it is. There's one at the very end of the greenhouse. Yep, right here. One is in front of the intercom, and one is in front of the middle shelf. Yeah, I told you the hitboxes on these were pretty picky. It's sort of right near that shelf and the intercom. Okay, and middle shelf, it says. So, around here? Yep, right here. So, 3 in the workshop and 4 in the lab. But wait, there were 8 parts, and we've only found 7. So remember when he said that he was playing with Anton the cat? Well... Yep, turns out the cat had one of them. So this is probably the most easily missed one. You have to be listening to what he said at the start of the quest very closely. He did say he played with the cat for a while. Thankfully, it's still on the 4th floor, so you never need to check anywhere besides the 3rd and 4th floors. No, cats have been known to do that. They think that any small object they can pick up in their mouths / claws is a toy for them. That is the way cats work. And as usual, I believe you can translate his dialogue with Kitty Talk for Dummies. So with that, we should have all 8 parts. So all of them is the requirement for the bonus BP here. I can see why this quest would be a little annoying, but I do like the cool radar effect on the detector. You can have a lot of fun just going around the room, seeing where the reactions are the strongest. Well, it's all of them, so of course it should be enough. Oh no, going the extra mile is what we do for bonus PP. And we're gonna get an additional reward out of this too, nice. Symbol of sincere and super relief thanks. Buzzer. Oh, that's a really good item. Wow, okay. So that item is also a source of interesting translation trivia. So that item in Japanese is called Surprise Bell. Hence why the localizers decided to call it Buzzer. I think it's partially a text space limit issue because the text space was definitely an issue in this game, but also because they thought, I don't know, Surprise Bell sounds a little awkward in English, but a buzzer, that's pretty much what a bell that surprises you is. It makes sense in context when you know what status ailments the thing blocks. And yes, you should get someone on that. Don't think there's really any, like, seamstresses in this town, though, that we know of. So I guess most people do their sewing themselves. But yeah, that was originally mistranslated as Surprise Spell, which to be honest is not that big of a leap because the item, well, you'll see. I'm just looking forward to using that because, let me just go ahead and check if it's what I think it is. Yes, ATS plus 30. A defense plus 32, but that doesn't really matter. ATS plus 30 prevents faint and sleep. This thing is amazing. I love this item so much, and it goes on my casters pretty much from the moment that I get it. Completely outclasses the Feather Brooch, so let's go ahead and do that. This is actually part of why, though, the way that this party system works is a bit annoying, because I often have that on either Olivier or Chloe, and at this point, I generally don't have them both in my party at the same time, so usually one or the other has that, and then I switch them out of the party, and I forgot to remove the buzzer, and then I come to a battle and I'm like, oh, I want the buzzer on Chloe, but it's on Olivier right now. I have to trek all the way back to the guild to get it off Olivier, and yeah. So, while we're here, I believe we're close to the place where we need to set up the device. It's right near the save point, I believe. Did that thing just drop out of the sky? That was actually kind of creepy. Yeah, it's right here. So this scene right here is one of the most significant differences between the agate route and the Shera routes. And it'll very quickly make sense why. I still love this song though. Wandering in the Darkness, I think it's called. This is a really good song. Yeah, that could interfere with the results, I think. Good thing we have Tita with us. She's great at finding out exactly how to use technology. So, the choice whether or not to start setting up the instruments, it only really matters for the third one, because once you set up the third and final one, you immediately advance the main story and a lot of side quests expire, so... when it's just the first or second, you can really choose to do it whenever. Yeah, pretty sure if Estelle tried to put the thing together, it would end up being the technological equivalent of Dracovish. Let's just say. Yeah, it's a good thing it can broadcast from inside a tunnel, otherwise we'd be in trouble. Don't underestimate Professor Russell. That's some pretty good technology. This kind of reminds me a little bit of echolocation. Well, he is one of the fathers of audible technology. And unlike one of the others, he's not a complete and total asshole. You'll know who I'm referring to if you've played Cold Steel. Yeah, one of Russell's colleagues is... he's a brilliant scientist, but he's definitely nowhere near as friendly as Professor Russell, let's just say. You know, I just realized something. I think that might be an animation bug. I think the dish is supposed to be spinning. And that's useful too. Russell thinks of everything, doesn't he? I know that very hyper voice. Yeah, so here you run into Annalise and whichever character you did not choose back in Chapter 1. So you would be encountering Agate here if you were on the Shara route. Oh yes, definitely, but you know, there are no coincidences in this kind of story. Don't say that out loud, especially not in a place in a cave where things echo. So yeah, obviously Cher would have different dialogue here if you brought Olivier. I'm actually really annoyed that I didn't bring Olivier now because that would have been amazing. So yeah, like I said, if you're playing this game, experiment with different party members in various scenes. You'll get different dialogue. So this bit here is another reason why I chose the Agate route, I believe, because this particular part of the event does not happen if you pick Shara. So the funny thing is, there are a lot of people even in the comments section who are saying that when Annalise meets Tita, she's going to explode, or some variant of that. Guess what? She did. Tita is extremely confused, as is pretty much everyone right now. So that's new. We'd vaguely heard they were still running about in the papers, but they're not Ouroboros, but they're probably bad news. Although we know, as in the players, know that Joshua was with the Sky Bandits, but they don't know that yet. Okay, looks like you two have been pretty busy. One of the Ouroboros. That's a bit of a weird way to put it. The Ouroboros Enforcers, or one of Ouroboros. And yeah, weirdo in an opera suit. True, we only survived thanks to Dorothy. True. We have to put up with the annoying whirring noise of that dish while we're going through this conversation, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I said unfortunately twice, but we can't actually call them at this point. So that's a shame. It'd be kind of nice if you could call them in as assist party members, but you can't do that. Right now, they're fully committed to investigating their leads, and we investigate ours. Of course, in another universe, things could have been reversed, at least between Shara and Agate. Yeah, Agate, please don't go full Duke Junan. or you will get beaten up horribly. There's only 2 of them though, and there's 4 of us, so that is a point. Granted, Annalise is still pretty strong, and Shara covers her lack of ranged abilities. They should be fine together. Especially since Shara is an arts user in a game where arts are pretty overpowered. So, yeah, if you're on the Shara route, this is actually the first time that Tita and Agate get to meet up since the first game. So, that changes the conversation pretty significantly. Yeah, she kind of got glomped, but she should be fine. Yeah, we probably should have warned you about her. A lot of bad things going on right now. Well, we know what the Intelligence Division was, and the Intelligence Division was backing the Sky Bandit, so it's kind of a chain. And with that, we've set up this device, had a bit of a detour, so let's head on back to town. So there are some people who prefer to take care of Caldia Tunnel Monster now. I've already gone ahead and done that, so... And I've already taken care of the chest down here, so nothing else for me to do at this point. Okay, I can make an EP cut too, might as well. And let's go ahead and report. Chloe didn't get to fight anything, so I think I'll keep her in my party for now. So, next on our agenda is the entirely optional Carnelia Tower. I'll see you there.